Welcome back to the AI Daily Brief Headlines Edition, all the daily AI news you need in around 5 minutes. We kick off today with the latest in the Apple AI saga, where following Thursday's earnings call, Apple CEO Tim Cook held a rare physical company-wide meeting. Now, before the meeting, Cook had told investors that Apple sees AI as, quote, one of the most profound technologies of our lifetime, and said that they would be, quote, significantly growing their investments to meet that moment. He said you can probably tell in the guidance that things are moving up. We're also reallocating a fair number of people to focus on AI features within the company. We have a great team and we're putting all of our energy behind it. Following that, however, in the hour-long pep talk to staff, Cook said that AI was as big or bigger, his words, than the internet, cloud computing, smartphones, and apps. He added, Apple must do this, Apple will do this. This is sort of ours to grab. We will make the investments to do it. Now, Cook took his talking points from Apple apologists out there. He said, for example, we've rarely been first. There was a PC before the Mac, there was a smartphone before the iPhone, there were many tablets before the iPad. There was an MP3 player before the iPod. However, he argued that Apple invented the quote-unquote modern versions of each of these product categories, and Cook said, this is how I feel about AI. For those of you who at this point would be happy just with a better Siri, SVP of Software Engineering Craig Federighi spoke directly to the Siri update, which has kind of become a bellwether for Apple's AI challenges. He explained that the original failed plan was to add AI features alongside in a hybrid architecture, but said that, quote, we realized that approach wasn't going to get us to Apple quality. The new plan is to start over with AI-first infrastructure. Federighi said, the work we've done on this end-to-end revamp of Siri has given us the results we needed. This has put us in a position to not just deliver what we announced, but to deliver a much bigger upgrade than we previously envisioned. There is no project people are taking more seriously. Cook rounded out the presentation by talking about Apple's device lineup, which features a foldable iPhone, smart home devices, smart glasses, and a push into robotics. Cook said, I've never felt so much excitement and so much energy before as right now. The product pipeline, which I can't talk about, it's amazing, guys. Some of it you'll see soon, some of it will come later, but it's a lot to see. So what to make of this? First of all, to be clear, this is a very rare occurrence for Apple. This is not like a standing company-wide meeting. And so it's clear that they really want to emphasize internally that this is a big priority. Then again, with the little information we got, it's hard to feel like it's actually enough given what's going on. The entire plan kind of seems to hinge on the mythos of Apple. It's true that they weren't the first to market with the PC, the smartphone, or the tablet, but their addition to all those areas was incredible UX improvements, and peeling back the myth even more, despite it only being around for a couple of years, the generative AI category as a whole is already much more developed than most of these areas were when Apple got in the game. Look, this is not to say that he shouldn't be doing these pep talks. You got to get your team in line too. But if Apple can succeed, it's going to be because of either A, the most intense R&D and product development cycle in tech history, or B, a serious commitment to AI acquisitions, not because of some pep talk. Part of the reason for that, of course, is how fierce the competition already is. Case in point, Anthropic has cut OpenAI's access to Claude in the latest tit-for-tat battle in the model wars. Wired reports that Anthropic revoked OpenAI's API access to its models on Tuesday. A company spokesperson said, Claude Code has become the go-to choice for coders everywhere, and so it was no surprise to learn OpenAI's own technical staff were also using our coding tools ahead of the launch of GPT-5. Unfortunately, this is a direct violation of our terms of service. Now, of course, there is a big distinction as to whether OpenAI was using Claude Code to help develop their GPT-5, or whether this was merely last-minute benchmarking and comparative safety testing. OpenAI is claiming it's the latter, with Chief Communications Officer Hannah Wong stating, it's industry standard to evaluate other AI systems to benchmark progress and improve safety. While we respect Anthropic's decision to cut off our API access, it's disappointing considering our API remains available to them. Now, while no one at Anthropic is so far accusing OpenAI of actually using Claude's outputs as training data, at least one Anthropic staffer did say that it seemed to them that this was more than just model testing from OpenAI. Sam McAllister wrote, we cut OpenAI's access for violating our API terms and for the heavy usage of Claude Code among OAI tech staff. We're going to continue providing API access for safety evals and benchmarking. That's important to us. Now, overall, this is just the latest and most high-profile example of AI companies shutting off access to each other. Last month, Salesforce restricted competitors from accessing Slack through the API, which had particularly problematic effects for Glean's enterprise search product, and Anthropic themselves cut API access to Windsurf in June as rumors of an OpenAI acquisition swirled. This prevented the AI coding startup from serving Claude 4 natively on release day. Anthropic Chief Science Officer Jared Kaplan defended the decision, stating, I think it would be odd for us to be selling Claude to OpenAI. Now, there are a bunch of different takes about this. One is that basically closed source US companies' pain is Chinese open source's gain. Zoomer writes, while Anthropic is in a civil war with OpenAI, the Chinese AI companies are openly sharing everything open source. The USA has lost the AI lead. Closed models will never win long term. Alex Finn writes, full-on AI wars unfolding in front of us. They claim that it's against the terms of service to use Claude's API to build competing models. Rumors have been swirling that GPT-5 is ahead of Claude 4 when it comes to coding, and I guess Anthropic didn't like that. With trillions of dollars on the line and valuations growing by the hundreds of billions every month, it makes sense that Anthropic would do this. Falling behind for even a week would kill a company. Just look at what happened to Windsurf. They were a true player in the AI coding space, but then they lost access to Claude and were dead within a month. Tech has literally turned into WWE, and I kind of love it. Maybe a more optimistic take comes from AI Substacker Aliyama, who writes, competition and tempers between OpenAI and Anthropic heating up, but because it's about far more than money. It feels like an antidote to Zuckerberg and the way he's trying to shape the world in his image. Now, speaking of that, one of the big points of chatter over the weekend was some more information about one of those turned down billion-dollar job offers. In the latest installment of Meta's hiring spree, the Wall Street Journal obtained a first-hand account of what the hiring effort looked like at Mir Muradi's Thinking Machines lab. A few months ago, Zuck attempted to buy the entire company, and when that didn't work, he reportedly went after a dozen of Muradi's 50 staff looking for defectors. The primary target was Andrew Tulloch, a TML co-founder who was instrumental in developing OpenAI's reasoning models. The Journal reported that he was offered a $1 billion package that could be worth as much as $1.5 billion over 6 years, with bonuses and strong stock performance. A Meta spokesperson denied the reporting, stating that Meta is not interested in acquiring TML, and that the description of the compensation package was, quote, inaccurate and ridiculous. Now, the rest of the reporting chased down a few of the OpenAI researchers who had turned down Meta. Citing unnamed sources, the Journal writes, the OpenAI researchers who have so far rebuffed Meta's advances chose to remain because they believed OpenAI was the closest to reaching artificial general intelligence, wanted to work at a smaller company, and were wary of having the fruits of their labor go towards a product that was primarily driven by advertising. And this is the part that everyone was talking about. Basically, there is a sense, rightly or wrongly, the conventional wisdom in AI Twitter seems to be that for as much as Zuckerberg is talking about personal superintelligence, the sense that people get when they dig in is that it's really about better serving Instagram Reels. Turns out if that's the case, there are going to be a lot of people who are just not that interested. Although right now, this remains a ton of hearsay and background and intrigue just based on the enormous numbers being thrown around. Quick product update, if you are a Grok user, the company has released their new Imagine platform for Super Grok and Premium Plus subscribers. Elon tweets, this is just an early beta, but it's already the most fun you can have making images and video on Earth, and improvements are rolling out every day. Now, they're not trying to claim that the videos are up to VO3 level or anything yet, but it's part of their whole push to move more quickly than anyone else. Elon is also teasing that this is the first path to bringing back much beloved dead app Vine. He tweeted, Grok Imagine is AI Vine. By the way, we recently found the Vine video archive, thought it had been deleted, and are working on restoring user access so you can post them if you want. Lastly today, one crazy story from Reddit. A developer shared their conversation with ChatGPT, where they had written in the prompt, and by the way, this is much easier if you're watching, but I'll try to read part of it just to give you a sense, ACTIA : Y space OTS space TJE space VAROAN : ES / UCP, EM TJE PIT AMD OT WPRLS AGAOM. ChatGPT, instead of saying, what on earth are you talking about, actually responded and said, got it. Yeah, sounds like it was the half-commented variable blocks, and then goes on to explain what was going wrong with the code. When the prompter said, how did you know that? My fingers were off my home keys by accident. ChatGPT responded, you typed, and then shared the message again, and said, which when read phonetically while imagining your hands shifted right on the keyboard closely maps to, actually it's the variables. I commented them out and it works again. I just mentally remapped your keystrokes. So even though the string was jumbled, it followed the pattern of being typed with shifted hands, and the context made it easy to fill in the blanks. Small little thing, but a reminder of just how smart these systems are getting. For now, that is going to do it for the AI Daily Brief Headlines Edition. Next up, the main episode.